Good morning. It's Thursday, October 23rd, National Slap Your Coworker Day. What on earth? I'm nothing if not a celebrator of holidays. And now the news. Starting in Ukraine, where just hours after a meeting between Trump and Putin was canceled per Trump, Russian drones and missile strikes killed at least 27 people in Ukraine, including children, which we know because a kindergarten was hit. Russia has continued to reject calls for a ceasefire. However, despite, as I said, Trump saying that the meeting between him and Putin was off, Russia says that the plans for the meeting are continuing. And don't we just love being in the position where we don't know if we should be trusting the president of America or Russia? We don't know. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky has arrived in Norway to kick off his European conversations to try and keep European leaders on his side and in his camp as he tries to hold his country together and at least get those people on his side, because our president doesn't know which side to be on. President Zelensky or the guy who blew up a kindergarten. And although the military is not being paid because of this government shutdown, they are still being forced to do what is almost certainly like a bunch of crimes all rolled into one, because they were asked to do yet another deadly strike on what we're being told is a boat carrying drug trafficking people. But we don't actually know if that's true or not, because every time they do these strikes on the boats, they either kill everyone on board, or in one of the more recent cases, they capture someone from the boat and then they send them back to the country from whence they came without doing really any questioning or anything. Like, if you're so concerned about this epidemic, would you not want to question these folks and find out who's at the top? So another strike happened on Wednesday. What makes this strike stand out is that it happened in the Pacific Ocean, which means that the Trump administration and Pete Hegseth are widening their scope of attack. Not great. The White House has tried to give a few pretty legally weak reasons for attacking the ships. Those reasons will not hold up in court. You can take it from me, a non-lawyer, although I have seen Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde multiple times. So is that still true? Technically, I might be a lawyer. Because they claim that these boats that they are attacking are affiliated with foreign terrorist organizations, simply because they have drugs on them. Again, they have offered no proof of said drugs, but legal experts agree that just saying they probably are is not enough. But that's what happens when we are, as Trump says, engaged in a, quote, non-international armed conflict, end quote. That's what he calls this. What does that mean? Non-international means national. National armed conflict? Is that what we're doing now? Words used to mean something. And then he was like, I'm going to be the president. Now, just word salad. And in North Carolina, the North Carolina House gave the final thumbs up needed to change their maps in a way that is meant to give Republicans one more seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, because Donald Trump asked for it. North Carolina, a swing state, pressured by the United States president to change its congressional maps so that people who apparently otherwise will lose elections won't. Which I don't say to be mean. If I wanted to be mean, I'd say other things. I say because people who believe that they can win don't cheat. This is cheating. And we're all appalled by this, of course. And Trump does a million bad things every day. So it's really like a pick your poison of poison, I guess. But Still, the President of the United States is doing that. That's bad. And I do not believe it is being highlighted enough. But let me be clear. Let me be clear. These seats are only meant to, but not guaranteed to, give that seat to Republicans. Nothing is over until it's over. Elections do not get decided until Election Day, and the only people that decide elections are voters. Maps don't decide elections. Donald Trump may think a lot of things. It is bad in there. He may think a lot of stuff, but he does not decide elections. Voters decide elections. Voters decide democracies. I talked about more on the Substack, but we are fighting for every single House seat, all 435 of them. This makes the fight harder, but it was a fight already, and it is a cause worth fighting for. If you live in North Carolina, if your district has been changed, get out there, talk to your neighbors, make sure that you guys are going to turn out in every single election. Just because your district got more competitive doesn't mean that now's the time to sit back because, oh no, now's the time to get out there and fight even harder. If you are sitting in a very, very blue area, this means for you, don't skip your election. Make sure your ballot is filled out and turned in, and then you need to turn to North Carolina, get out there and help them. Turn to Texas, get out there and help them. Time, money, or influence. Everybody has at least one of those three things. Everybody can do something to help these states. It is work worth doing. And while we're doing the work, let's check in on the government shutdown. It's still shut down. Welcome everybody to day 23 and the second longest government shutdown in history. Guys, we did it! No need to celebrate. That was sarcasm. What a weird way to pronounce that. I'm not re-recording that. I'm sticking with it. Trump would love to negotiate. By the way, if only he had time, but he is busy tearing down the entire East Wing. At first he was like, I want to build a ballroom because when I was in junior high, nobody would dance with me. When I was a kid, my dad never once was like, let's go have a catch. And then I grew up to become a middle schooler and a high schooler, and no one would dance with me. And now I'm gonna have a ballroom, and they have to dance with me because I'm the president. This'll fix it. So he's building a ballroom, and at first he was like, it's only gonna cost $250 million, and it'll be very close to the East Wing, but it will not touch it. And now it's gonna cost $300 million, and it will also cost, apparently, the entire East Wing. He's tearing it down. And nobody has ever found a brave to stand up to him. So it's happening. That's what's happening right now. He's tearing down the East Wing to build a ballroom while the government is shut down because he doesn't want people to have health care. What a wild choice. Not the wildest one he's made, not by a mile, but still pretty wild. I'll tell you yesterday I was like, I've had it up to here. I'll tell you who's also had it up to here is Oregon's Jeff Merkley, who took to the Senate floor at 6 p.m. Eastern Tuesday night and spoke for 22 hours and 37 minutes, during which most of that time was spent reading the book, How Democracies Die. Tell us how you really feel, Jeff, because we probably feel the same way. And how about some Hope Corps? Under, over, or around, people find a way. And after she threatened to sue him for a casual $1 billion, best-selling author Michael Wolff is suing, for real, he's not threatening, he's actually suing, Melania Trump, marking the first time a president's wife has been the subject of a court action. The suit accuses her of an assault on free speech and trying to stifle, quote, legitimate inquiry into the Epstein investigation. Under, over, or around. Someone is going to find a way to break through this case. Wolff has asked the court for permission to question both Melania and old Donny Boy on the stand. Can we submit questions for you, Michael? He is suing using something called the Anti-SLAPP Law, SLAPP, and it stands for Strategic Lawsuits Against Public Participation. And the law is made to prevent powerful people from being able to sue, for example, Michael Wolffs, journalists and writers, simply because they were connected to, one of the most prolific child sex trafficking rings in history. And now you want to silence this writer and journalist because you don't want it to come out, even though there are so many pictures and everybody knows that you did it? We'll see what happens from here. And that's it. That's the news. I'm proud of my coworkers. And not just because some of them listen, and I am legally obligated, I think it's actually in my deal memo to say this, but also because I am actually proud of them. But more than, not going to trip me up there because I still have to go to work today. But more than Crocs, it is also National Crocs Day. And quite frankly, I do not co-sign. So more than a foam shoe with holes in it that you can decorate for reasons that I'm sure exist, I'm sure there are reasons for it. And for that, they're great. But more than them, because you exist for reasons that I understand and I'm excited about and I'm thrilled by, frankly. I'm proud of you.